Hello everyone, we are back with yet another episode on this Tamil Radiothon that we are doing, and it will be live broadcasted on CMR from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, June 11th. Just mark those dates. Very good day because it's a day where you can feel how many kind people are around, and so many doctors and people in healthcare are working for all of us, especially for the Scarborough community. And when we talk about Scarborough community, Love Scarborough is the campaign as well, which is a part of it. And who better to talk about Love Scarborough than the guest I have today? Her name is Nisha Ravichandran. Dr. Nisha Ravichandran. And welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I can see a very young doctor here and feel so good. Well, and beautiful as well, beautiful soul as well, because when you work in healthcare and you put a lot of efforts with heart, I can see the souls that are involved in this healthcare are really nice ones.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce my viewers here and listeners about you a bit. So Dr. Nisha Ravichandran was born in Sri Lanka, and she came to Canada when she was just 5 years old. And why I said that she's the best person to talk about Love Scarborough campaign, because she grew up in Scarborough itself, and she completed her medicine degree from Western University, and then family medicine residency at McMaster University, and then she started to practice in 2016 while doing part-time masters of clinical sciences and family medicine at Western University. Wow. And her interests are immigrants' health and their access to health care. We are going to talk about it, but yeah, that's why I say that when we are talking to Tamil community here on radio and to all those people who are immigrants and they are seeing this video, it's very important, to know how you can help and how you view this system here. But before we go ahead, welcome again, and tell me your role about as a family physician first.
So, as a family physician, I think family physicians are a really important part of the healthcare system in Canada. We are involved in preventing disease and also in treating disease. And I feel very fortunate to be involved in my patients' lives, from pregnancy to newborn care to children, teenagers, and adults, and then elderly adults. So we see the whole spectrum. We're involved in managing mental health concerns, complex issues, as well as preventative cancer screening, and to basically try to make sure that people stay healthy, and if they develop any diseases or illnesses, that we're treating often multiple illnesses and keeping people as healthy as possible. So I feel very privileged to be in that role and to be providing that kind of comprehensive care for my patients.
Wow. Yeah. And I was seeing here that you have a research interest where you have focused on immigrants' health and their access to health care. And there's a paper mentioned BMC Primary Care General. Can you tell us more about that? What was that paper about?
So this paper was just published in April 2022 in the BMC Primary Care Journal.
Mhm.
One of my main interests in research is looking at immigrant health and access to healthcare. And I think this started with my own experiences coming to Canada with my family when I was 5, and seeing my parents and as well as other community members struggling to navigate the healthcare system. And then when I entered practice and started seeing patients myself, I saw a lot of my patients struggling with many of the same barriers. And there's been lots of research about access to healthcare for immigrants, and we know that especially immigrants face a number of barriers to accessing healthcare. So even though we live in a country where we're fortunate to have publicly funded healthcare, there's still lots of barriers related to financial barriers, language barriers, cultural barriers, transportation related barriers, and even just lack of knowledge of the healthcare system. So when I saw this in practice with my patients, I wanted to learn more about it. So I started the study with the support of Dr. Bridget Ryan and Dr. Maria Matthews at Western University, who were amazing supports throughout this whole research experience. And what we were looking at specifically is the experience of recent immigrants compared to established immigrants. And what we found that recent immigrants face even more barriers than established immigrants. And these barriers are a number of different types of barriers related to just lack of knowledge of the healthcare system, lack of social supports, and often financial barriers as new immigrants kind of set down their roots and become more economically stable. They often face many barriers. And the other thing that we found is that new immigrants often don't have a family doctor. They're about half as likely to have a family doctor compared to established immigrants. And they often are accessing healthcare through more episodic care, which is what we call things like walk-in clinics or urgent cares, as opposed to having a continuity of care through a family physician. So the purpose of this research really is to try to improve access, because only if we have the information and we have the research, we can try to improve policy making and improve access for new immigrants.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm sure many people can relate to what you just told, that there is a problem when it comes to recent immigrants, all the more in Canada, to access healthcare, and her paper is about that. So it's a work towards that direction to make it better. And now, can you please describe like how you decided to support SHN? What was the drive there besides all this?
So I have been involved through SHN in terms of research and education, as well as through my clinical practice. But at the beginning of 2022, I was kind of struck by just the feeling of burnout and the struggles that a lot of my patients, my friends, my colleagues have been facing through the pandemic. And at the same time, at the beginning of 2022, I had just submitted my paper looking at the barriers to access for immigrants. And we know Scarborough is really a place of immigrants, and I wanted to do something to make a difference, to create a positive change in the community where I grew up and the community where I practice. So that's why I started this campaign. One of my kind of pastimes besides medicine is painting. So I reached out to the Scarborough Health Network Foundation, and I've been selling my paintings on behalf and with 100% of the proceeds going to the Scarborough Health Network Foundation. And for me, it really is just a privilege to be, giving back to this community and just trying to create at least a small difference to kind of decrease those barriers that we have to accessing healthcare in our community.
Wow. So I'm talking to a painter and artist as well, besides a doctor. Wow. Okay, I know that you love Scarborough because you have been grown up there. But what, in other sense, do you think Scarborough is so special? I know every community is special, but what makes Scarborough a little bit more special for you?
So yeah, it's true. Every community is special, and through my medical training, I worked in so many different communities, and all of them had something really special about them. But when I came back to Scarborough to practice, I really felt like I was coming back home. It really, I think. Scarborough has a lot of things that set it apart. I think, obviously, the diversity is a huge part of it, but also just, I think there's a culture in Scarborough of humility, of gratitude, and of work ethic, because I think almost everybody who lives in Scarborough came to Canada or came to Scarborough looking for a better life for themselves and for their families. And I think that's really reflected in the patients that I see and just in our community. And that's why I think it's so important to support that community. We know that there's a need in terms of funding for our local hospitals. And I think it's so important to support that community by giving back when we can.
Well, you mentioned about ethics, and that is reflected in the patients as well. I can see that's reflected in the doctors as well there. And why do you think the listeners today and the viewers today might be considering making a gift, through this radiothon?
So I think we have a really unique opportunity, and I think a special opportunity right now to be a part of the solution, to help future generations, to help our children, and to help newcomers who are arriving to Canada or arriving to Scarborough and need healthcare. I think for the Tamil community in particular, I know that one of our most important values is to give a better life for our children than the life that we had for ourselves. And that's why so many of us, our parents and our families and ourselves, uprooted our lives in Sri Lanka to leave a country that was at war, to come to Canada. I know for myself, my parents made so many sacrifices, and that's the reason why I'm here today. And I think all of us can say that about the sacrifices that we've made, or that our families and parents have made to come here and to have this life that we have right now. And we can also thank Scarborough, a lot of us, because I think a lot of us put down our roots in Scarborough or in communities near Scarborough. And we know that the Scarborough Health Network right now, it really needs funding. And we have an opportunity right now to contribute to make our lives better, to get better access to healthcare for ourselves, but I think more importantly for our children, for future generations, and for new immigrants who are continuing to arrive to Scarborough.
Okay, so any last notes for them?
So yeah, I hope that people will really consider to contribute to the Scarborough Health Network by donating directly. If you're interested in my art, again, with 100% of the proceeds going to the Scarborough Health Network, my website is nisharaviart.com, and my Instagram is at nisharaviart. So I would love for people to take a look, but really the important thing is that the funding gets to the Scarborough Health Network Foundation. So please do consider just making your donation directly to the Scarborough Health Network Foundation.
Great. I'm going to visit to the Instagram and the website today. For sure, you guys do as well. The All the proceeds, as you know, from the donations will be going to SHN to purchase urgently needed medical equipments and highest priority treatments. So it is for everyone's welfare, especially for the Scarborough community there who are living around. And donations can be made in three ways. Just to remind my viewers here: online at shnfoundation.ca/Tamil, or in person. There are drop-off centers: RBC branch, Kingston and McCowan, Canadian Tamils Chamber of Commerce, and Nava Wilson LLP. And you can even call and donate. That's 4164318152. All these details are in the video below as well. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, she was Dr. Nisha Ravichandran with us talking about SHN Radiothon.